Welcome. In this video, I am going to cover Chapter 6, Links. So in this chapter, we are going to take a look at the anatomy of a link, what makes up a link, how to create a link, even though we've done this already in some previous videos. Creating a link to another web page, and then creating anchors, linking to a specific anchor, and then creating other kinds of links. So let's take a look. So a link has two main parts, a destination and a label. The first part, the destination, is arguably the most important part because that's where when you click on it, it takes the user. So we're going to use that to specify what happens when the visitor clicks on the link. So we can create links that go to another page, jump to a spot within a page, which is called an anchor, show an image, download files, send an email, all kinds of things. The most common links are the ones that link to web pages. And then the second most common are ones that link to a certain position on a web page, which is called an anchor. The second part of the link is the label, and that's the part that the visitor sees in the browser. That's the link text. So it's important that link text give the visitor a pretty good idea of where they're going to go when they click on it. Like you wouldn't want to have a link, say link 1 or link 2, because they have no idea what they're clicking on. So if you're linking to Google, you'd want it to say Google. So let's take a look. Creating a link to another web page. So basically there's two different types of links that we're going to look at here. And that is a link to a page within your website, within the existing website, or a link to an external page on a different website. Okay? And so I've got some code up here. And what I want to do, so this is a website. This is actually a website from assignment 6-1, but I'm going to use it as example code here. So this website has 3 pages. There's an index page, which is the home page. There's an about page, and there's a favorites page. Okay, so whenever we create a link, we're always going to have the anchor tag, that's the A, then a space, and there's going to be an href attribute. And href is hypertext reference, and then there'll be an equals, and then in quotes, the name of the page that we want to link to. Now, if we were linking to a page that was in a different directory on our server, like a different folder, like sometimes we've linked CSS files to a file that's in a CSS folder, then it would be folder name / name of the file. But in this case, the index, the about, and the favorites HTML pages are all in the same directory, so we don't need to specify where to look. So we just put the name of the file in quotes, then we have our greater than sign, and then we have the label or the link text, and that's the part that the user is going to see. And then we have our closing anchor tag. And in this case, I've wrapped these all in an unordered list, which is very common inside of a nav element. But the actual link itself is right here. That's the link. Okay? And that's what the book's kind of walking you through. You can see in the example code here, href equals giraffe-escapes.html. That's just to a link in the same directory to a page called giraffe-escapes. It's an HTML page. Same thing here, pioneer.valley. So very similar links. And here's some tips. href stands for hypertext reference. You can change the default styling of the label text, even use an image as a label, and we can do a lot of this with CSS. We're going to learn how to do that. You can make an image clickable so that it's a link, and we'll learn how to do that too. So you can see there's a whole bunch of tips here. I'm not going to read all these to you. You can go through when you read the chapter, make sure that you read all the tips. The target attribute is something that you're probably going to run into. You've been on web pages where when you click on a link, it opens like a new tab. It leaves the web page open that you were on and opens a new tab or a new window. And that's a target. And that's using underscore blank as a target. So the syntax for that within your link would be target equals underscore blank. So you can see href equals some page.html, target equals, and here it would be underscore blank. And what that would do is it would open a brand new browser window or tab within the browser. And the only problem with that is it can confuse your visitors. So they click on it, they don't even realize that a new tab has opened, and then they try to click the back arrow, and there is no back arrow because it's a brand new tab, and that's the only site they've gone to. So it can be confusing. The book actually recommends not doing that so much. I've always thought if I was going to direct people away from my website to a separate website, I would use the underscore blank just so that my website was still open. But it depends on the situation. So anchors. Generally, activating a link brings the user to the top of the corresponding web page if you want to have the user jump to a specific section of the web page. So when you load a web page from a link, it starts at the top. But we can create anchors so that we can actually link to an area of the web page that's not the top. So let's say, you've been on pages where you scroll for a long time. What they do is they create anchors throughout the page so you can jump down to a certain part of the page. And we do that with IDs. It's very simple. So here, in this article code, we have an H2 ID equals intro. And then up here, we create the link href equals, and then if we're linking to an ID, we always want to put the hashtag in. So very similar to what we do with CSS and IDs, we're going to do href equals quotes hashtag name of the ID, in this case it's intro, and then introduction. So with this code, when someone clicks on this link, it will jump them down to this part of the page. And this isn't the best example because it's a short page, but if this were a longer page, it would jump them down. And then a lot of times you'll see links to click back up to the top so you don't have to scroll. But that's how we link to an anchor. So an anchor is really just an ID. And then in the link code, we put the ID in. So href equals pound intro. So to create an anchor, we're just going to, like I said, create an ID. Keep them simple, keep them all lowercase, no spaces. And then when we link to that ID, it's just the ID name in the href with the pound sign preceding it. So it's pretty simple. So let's see if I can give you an example in code. So I have an address here. So I'm going to do ID equals, let's see, feed for feedback. Okay. And I'm going to save this. Now I'm going to go all the way to the top, and I'm going to add a link here. So I'm going to do an li href equals, and in quotes I'm going to do the pound sign, and then the name of the anchor, feed, and then I'm going to do for my link text, I'm going to do feedback. And I'm going to save that, and then we'll open it in the browser window and we'll take a look at it. Let's see if I have it open. Let me see what page this was. That's my home page. So let me go to home. So there's my link, feedback. Again, this isn't the best example because feedback's right there. Sorry about that. Let me take this out. Let me go to a longer page. I just want to fix my code because I saved it. So okay, so these are all fairly short pages, but let me do it right here. And so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to put the link up here. So I'm going to do href equals pound feedback. I'm going to scroll all the way down at the bottom, and I'm actually going to put it here in my address. Actually, I'll do the footer. ID equals feed. So we'll save that. And that's on the about page. So let's go to the about page. Okay, so here my feedback is way down at the bottom. So here's my link. I stuck it in up here. So when I click on this, you can see it jumps me down to my feedback. And the reason it doesn't put, so this is where I put the feedback ID. The reason it doesn't put that at the top of the page is because this is it. There is no more. I can't scroll any further down. This is the bottom of the page. Okay, so by creating an ID and then linking to the ID, we can link to areas of a web page, especially if there's quite a bit of scrolling. That makes it more user-friendly. Okay, so I'm just going to come back in here and take this out. Later on, I'll be doing something with this page and think, what the heck is that doing in there? So let me take this out too. Okay, and I'll save it. So that's how we do that. That's how we link to an anchor. And then the book goes into some other types of links. So if we're creating a link to an external website, right? That's a site that exists somewhere else on the web. Then we need to put in the full web address, the full URL. So let's say on this page right here that I want to link to Google. So what I need to do is I need to put the full Google address in, including the protocol. So http://www.google.com. Okay, and then put in my link text as Google. Now, when you're typing these in, the danger is that you're going to have a typo and the link will be broken. The best way that I like to do it is I like to go to the web and go to that website. Okay, so if I go to google.com, I'm here. Then I can just click up here in the URL, select it, copy it, go into my code, and paste it. Now I know that it works. Then I'm going to save this, go to my browser window, refresh, and there's my Google link. And I'm going to click on it, and it takes me right to that page. So that's an external link. That's a link that goes outside of your website to a different web page. Okay, so I'm going to select this and get rid of it. Save my page. Some other types of links that we can do. We can link to an email address. So the syntax for that is href equals, but then instead of the HTTP protocol, we're using the mail to. So it's mail to, MAILTO, colon, and then the full email address, and that's all in quotes. And then the link text would be what it is, Dan's email address, and then the closing A tag. The problem with putting email addresses out in link form on the web like that is that email address will be spammed a lot. So I don't like to do that. There are other more advanced ways to do that to hide that, but that's for another class. Okay, so the book goes through some other types of links, how to link to a thumbnail. So let me show you how to do that real fast. So let's go get some pictures. Okay. So oh, I don't know. Let's look for an owl picture. So I'm going to go to images. And what I want to look for is a good size picture. So this picture is 800 by 600. That's not the best picture. Here's a good picture. So this one is 1920 by 1080. It's really a nice big picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this image. So I'm going to right click on it, do save image as. And what I want to do is I'm just going to call this Snow Owl and save it. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to do file save as, and I am just going to save this right here, and I'm going to call it index.html, and I'm going to save it. Okay, so now I've got this big picture, but what I want to do is I want to create a thumbnail of this picture. So I'm going to go File Open, and I'm going to open that image. And there it is. So I'm going to go to Image and Image Size. And I want to make sure Constrained Proportions is on. And I'm going to shrink this way down to like 250 pixels. And then I'm going to do File Save. And I'm going to call it Snow Owl SM for small. And I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to save it in the same directory. Now I'm going to go back to my page, and let's create a website here, or a web page here. So let's do our doc type. And we'll do HTML. Language is equal to EN for English. And then we'll do our head. And in our head, we will do our meta. And then we'll do our character set is equal to UTF-8. And then our title. You can tell I've been typing all day. I'm getting weary here. And our title for this one will be Snow Owl Demo. Okay. Oops, I want to keep my head there. And what I want to do then is create my body. So in my body, I'm going to do an image. So I'm going to do image src equals, and I'm going to do Snow Owl small. Alt equals Snow Owl Let's see, we want to call this thumbnail. And we'll do a space, a forward slash, and our greater than sign. Now, so if I just save this, and we look at this in the browser window, we have our thumbnail, right? But it's not clickable. It's not clickable yet. So if we look at this, see if they give example code anywhere. Okay, so what I want to do, I have my image here, my thumbnail, right? I'm going to wrap that in a link. So I'm going to do ahref equals snowowl.jpg, which is the full size image. And then inside of that, instead of link text, I'm just going to have an image, snowowl small, and then my closing A tag. Okay, so when I look at this, now you can see this image is clickable. So if I click on it, it loads the full image. And if I go back, there's my thumbnail. So I could do a bunch of thumbnails, and where this comes in handy is, you know, if you have a website and you don't want to have all these big giant pictures displayed, you just want the user to be able to click on the small ones that they want to see. For example, this is my website for images here, and you can see these are all thumbnails, right? So let me get to a different. So these are all thumbnail versions. So if I click on the thumbnail, it loads the full picture on the right hand side. And if I click on the full picture, it loads it in the browser window. So that's really what this is doing. The one I showed you obviously is much simpler. It's a simple version, but that's pretty much what we're doing with the thumbnails. A thumbnail is just a small version of an image. And the reason we use thumbnails is to save download time, and also so they don't take up so much of the screen. You know, if you have a website where you want to show people full versions of your pictures, but they're too big to just display them all on a screen because they'd have to scroll forever, you can use thumbnails to do that. And then the nice thing for the user is they only have to click on the one that they want to see. They don't have to look at all of them. Okay, well, that is the end of chapter 6. If you have questions, email me, kretz@fetc.edu. Thank you.